Welcome back to another episode of Repressed Humor Issues. So glad to be back. It does feel like a little bit of time went in between, but there we are. So, to introduce myself, I'm Worm Teeth, the guzzler of sand, better known as Ryan.
And I'm old man in his shooting glasses, Dan.
They are shooting glasses.
Yeah, so just so everybody's aware, we returned a pair of my glasses because the frames were hurting, and I've never had frames hurt that bad. And my wife went and ordered me a new pair of glasses, and they came with a yellow tint. And so my life is just sepia now.
I love it. That's too hot.
I've been looking at things differently, basically just to see what the color difference is from the real world versus what I see now.
Oh, doing this thing like where you're pulling the glasses up and down. Yeah.
Moving my head up and down so I can see the blues that I don't see because the yellow knocks them out.
I have a pair of sunglasses, some Ray-Bans that totally alter any perception of color. It makes it all like really pronounced, vibrant, and other colors super dead and bleak. So I always have to sit there and like, okay, I'm looking at a flower. It is actually not yellow. It's really pink. It's very strange. I don't know what the logic there is, but
this was a blue blocking coating that they put on them that they didn't bother informing only came as a yellow tint in the glasses. So I look significantly jaundiced. I look like I have some sort of liver disease going on.
Maybe it's scurvy. Need to get your vitamin C intake up.
Must be, but hey, we can't go without talking about your change that I'm looking at today too.
Yeah. So so everyone knows, I normally go with a pretty robust, full-grown beard, and I was trimming it, and somebody grabbed the wrong guard and went down to a half guard instead of a 3, right in the middle of my beard. So it was I couldn't just like cover it up. So it all had to go down to a half guard because I went all the way down. It was just like, fuck.
So one time, long time ago, I would have been 18, 19 years old. I was supposed to go for pictures with somebody, and I decided, okay, I'm going to trim back. I always had a hefty beard, even when I was young. So I started trimming, and I was trying to even out, and I was just doing it with scissors. I did not have an actual trimmer. So I was trimming. And eventually what ended up happening was I ended up trimming too close to the sides of my mouth. And realized all of a sudden I had a Hitler mustache going on and had to shave it all off. It was gone. Those pictures still exist somewhere. That's probably the second last time that I've shaved off my entire beard. I did it about 10 years ago. My daughter freaked out because she didn't recognize me. My ex-wife freaked out because she didn't recognize me. I didn't warn her I was doing it. I am not allowed to shave my beard for any reason.
I can't unsee it now, but I think it was my brother or a friend, it doesn't matter. Somebody in my life, when I had shaved off my beard, said, "Wow, you just look like a lesbian version of your mother." And I'm like, gee, thanks. I can't wait to grow my beard back. Yeah.
There's so many insults in that.
I know. I'm just like, I'm emasculated. I'm also a different sexuality.
Like a totally different gender, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. Well, some days I feel my feminine side. So
okay, playing with yourself does not count as feeling your feminine side.
Just nipple touching then?
Can we move on to today's topic, please?
I'll let you introduce it. Yes.
So Ryan and I were having a conversation a couple of days ago, and we're talking about alien movies, and we decided that what we were going to do is we were going to dedicate an entire episode to talking about alien movies. But one of the first things we wanted to do was define what is an alien movie, because you can just say anything with an alien in it is an alien movie. That's too broad. That's too easy. We want to make it more difficult than that. So we've each come up with our 5 ways that we believe that we can define an alien movie. And I think what we should do is we should go through one person's first and then the other.
Okay. I
So,
so I took this a little bit. I took it little literal at first, and then I hated myself for it because I wasn't having any fun. I started with not from Earth, not a robot, that kind of thing, and I was like, wait, scratch that. So here's the new version.
so you're
And I,
just saying you're going first because you want to go first because everything's about you. Got it. Go ahead. You don't want to see what just happened on camera. I'm not going to describe it, but you should hate Ryan for what he just did.
so I contend my number one on this is that they have to be able to breathe any type of atmospheric air. So whether it be moonbeams, fermented nebula gas, they can breathe it.
Hmm. Okay, that's interesting. So, what does that take out? What movies no longer fit in based off of that?
I've tried actually thinking about this, and I think it takes out Star Wars actually in most
Uh,
cases.
why?
Well, I guess we don't know technically what the consistency of any one of those planets'
Right.
oxygen is or is not. Fair. Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out where we're narrowing down what is a alien movie because to me they have to be able to breathe the atmosphere. Okay, well there's tons of movies where they breathe the atmosphere. The only one that really talks about them, the atmosphere being toxic to them, is War of the Worlds. And we're going to find out why that's not an alien movie in a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'll move on to my number two. Um, I believe that they have to have some sort of holographic camouflage that changes with their setting, their mood, their ability to blend into any atmosphere that they get into. So if you
So
think
now
about,
what? Now you're just talking Predator. That's the only alien movie
well,
if that's the qualifier.
I mean, you could think about like, oh my gosh, fuck it, the Matrix dude that can shapeshift, or a Terminator guy. Sorry, Terminator.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Uh, but
But
that
he's not an alien. He's just an advanced robot from the future.
depends on your definition.
Oh, God. We are going to argue today, folks.
um, I think that they have to have the ability to heal themselves um, beyond normal means. So if you think about like a Superman, he can't really get hurt unless it's kryptonite, but being able to heal and regenerate parts, unlike a human, where a human, if you
So,
chopped off an arm, you'd lose it forever.
so again, if we look at the Marvel movies where the guy had his arm chopped off in Endgame because they couldn't put his arm back on, his hand, he's no longer an alien. He's just a dude.
It's just a dude.
Because you realize he gets both hands cut off, one in Infinity Wars and one in Endgame.
I haven't seen either. We were
Oh,
just talking about this on the
oh,
phone.
oh. I didn't realize those were the Marvel movies that you had not watched.
The I'm very behind on Marvel.
Okay,
Um,
well, spoiler alert for the movie that's now what, 4 or 5 years old.
I think it's six
Yeah.
actually, but
So,
well, let me keep going because we have year five to get to as well. I believe aliens have a multitude of different ways to communicate, whether it be language, telepathy, pheromone symphonies, you name it. They should be able to communicate in more ways than just words.
so now Contact is coming in because Contact has the alien race that can communicate in multiple different ways, including showing images of the Nuremberg rallies with Hitler.
Well, and to be fair, like I'm still actively watching it. I'm watching the most recent Dune film, and they can do sign language. They have that internal voice thing that they can use, and then they could speak in multiple different languages as well. So kind of one of the inspirations of it. I thought that was kind of interesting. So I think Dune is, I would contend.
Okay, but that means that all of Germany is technically an alien landscape because the Germans can talk in architecture, they can talk in language, they all tend to talk multiple languages. We could talk about this all of Europe. I'm just using Germany as an extreme example. Um, they can talk in music. I mean, you're not eliminating here, you're adding to your list. That if you took all four that you've said so far, no movie is an alien movie. Or are you trying to get down to one specific movie I haven't thought of yet?
No, 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 no. I'm not that smart. Oh shit, my fifth one. God damn it. There we go. Sorry.
Wow.
It
You
was
can tell how prepared he is.
no,
He probably was writing these as I was hitting the record button.
I was typing it on my phone and I scrolled back up on the grocery list if you really want to know.
See,
um,
he can't even devote an entire spot on his phone to the list for this particular purpose. This is how much Ryan puts into this podcast.
it was in my notes section of my phone. That's also my Target shopping list, if you must know.
Yeah,
Um,
so at some point he's going to say Archer Farms must be present.
oh, that's their in-house brand. I was like, why do I
Yes.
know that? Okay, sorry. Um,
I could have said Good and Gather. I mean, I could have said multiples of them.
yeah, Good and Gather. I know that one. Okay, so my number five is seeking out some sort of mineral knowledge, um, intelligent life, that kind of thing, like on other planets. That's what they're actively seeking for. So I think of a lot of films actually do this where they do like resource hopping. A lot of video games do it too, actually, where they talk about like resource farming and multiple different geographies that they can't get all their necessary minerals for what they're trying to do off their planet. So they have to go seek it out or go seek out some historical ancient knowledge.
So would farming humans count as resource
Yes,
farming? Okay.
technically,
Okay.
it could be enslavement, all that kind of stuff.
So again, Ryan doesn't know the one movie that actually meets all of these criteria.
No.
What he does know is that he wants to make it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
It's kind of, you're kind of perceptive here. Yes.
so
Like,
what he's saying is anybody out there that's a producer or a director, he has a script.
it could be I have seven. So it's
Okay.
the 7
So
book
he's got
series.
7 horrible ideas.
Well, one of them's a cop drama. I have that too.
So next week on Repressed Humor Issues, how to make a cop movie.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Anyway.
I want to get to my list. And the lists aren't it today, folks. We're going to discuss this afterwards because I'm pretty sure that my list is more how to exclude movies out and include movies in as opposed to just how to make a good alien movie. So I'm going to start with the aliens must be sentient. So no bugs, no random parasites, none of that sort of stuff. Even some of the alien movies don't qualify because they don't have that sentient being in them until certain things happen. The things that shoot up on their faces are not sentient. They're just organisms that attach, and that's how they breed. If you've seen Prometheus, okay, Prometheus is a good example of that. I think there has to be a level of sentience where they have built a civilization that can move and can travel, not they got stuck on an asteroid that happened to come to Earth and made it through the atmosphere and somehow survive our toxic atmosphere. So I'm very particular about them being sentient.
Okay. I like that one actually. But
Yeah.
it does raise questions about what qualifies as sentient? Like, where do you draw the line?
Well, obviously, if you can escape your own planet by your own means, not through some accident of something
Sure,
else,
sure.
you're sentient at that point to the level that you can traverse large distances to be able to get to Earth or to be able to communicate with us.
Mm,
Now, if we go to their planet, they have to have an advanced enough civilization where they're in control of their domain.
okay. All
They're
right.
not prey, they're predator. Let's call that the beginning point of sentience.
Okay. All right.
Okay, but
Not
what
gonna
I'm
actually
looking
fight
at
you on
is
that one.
I'm trying to get rid of all the bug movies. That's the big thing. Okay, if it's a bug, if it's a plant, if it's something that can't speak, where regardless of what language it speaks or it can't communicate, it's not sentient. Therefore, it's not an alien movie at that point.
So Little Shop of Horrors is out.
Well, Little Shop of Horrors was a plant that did not come from another planet, if I remember correctly. Now, I've never watched that movie, but I would say that's not an alien movie because that plant came from Earth. He bred that plant from what I remember of the few times I've seen stories about it.
Yeah.
So that doesn't qualify because I do have in my list, and this is number 3, but I'll do it as number 2. Aliens must be extraterrestrial. Uh, they can't come from Earth, whether it's a different time, whether it's a spot that we haven't seen yet, like outbreak type stuff. It
Hmm.
can't just be that your idea of the liquid Terminator coming back, and he was a T-2000, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Something like that.
T2000. I was trying to remember what it was, but yes, that's right.
Yeah, he's just from another time, but he's still human made. He's not from another planet. He's not a robot from another planet. Doesn't even count, except for the fact that the aliens would have to be sentient to be able to send it to Earth, aka the day the world stood still, or the day the Earth stood still.
Okay.
Which Klaatu, that whole thing, I actually think that was a really good Keanu Reeves movie, by the way, the remake of that.
Wait, do they call it The Day the Earth Stood Still?
Yep. There's
Hmm.
2 versions of it. There's the old 1960s version of it, and
Yeah.
then there's the I think it was probably 2008, 2009 that must have come out. But
Okay.
yeah, that it's actually a good moral to that movie. There's a lot of CGI in it that kind of takes it over at the end, but it fits the need now, not because the giant robot that starts destroying stuff is some sort of sentient extraterrestrial life form. Keanu Reeves' character himself is the sentient alien in that one.
But okay, what if the material that a being is created with comes from a foreign planet?
Nope, doesn't
Hmm.
count because a human going to another planet, picking something up like a bug or a parasite, and coming back with armor or scales or something like that,
Mm,
or the power to shoot laser, it's still a human. They're not extraterrestrial.
okay.
So that's why you could technically say The Martian, Matt Damon was, sorry, I had to do it in that voice. Matt Damon was extraterrestrial to Mars, but coming back, he's still a human being. He's still from Earth. So you could never qualify The Martian as an
Oh, I was
extraterrestrial,
trying to
as an
think of that.
alien movie.
I was trying to think of what that movie was, but it was just a Mars mission, if I remember right.
Yeah, where he got stuck.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody else in his thing died, and he managed to make it back to
He was
Earth.
making like growing potatoes or something like that.
Yeah, but there's another movie with Val Kilmer and Benjamin Bratt and a bunch of other Tom Sizemore in it, where there's bugs that eat them if they stay too long and that sort of stuff. No, not an alien movie because those bugs are not sentient.
Okay.
So my now third one, which was my second one, is the alien or aliens must be central to the plot. A tangential alien in a movie does not make it an
I
alien.
agree. I agree with that. That I think I actually toyed with something very similar on my list with that because I was like, if they're not, then it's just it's a side quest.
Yep.
It's yeah. I agree.
So let's take it this way. I know this is not what happened, but I'm going to use it as how I think this would become an a way to be able to pull movies out of the alien movie genre. Let's say that the zombie movie that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost did,
Hmm.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yep.
Okay,
Fantastic
let's
film.
say the zombie itself was part of an infestation that came from something that was extraterrestrial. Okay, regardless of the sentience, regardless of the fact of whether you could say it was truly extraterrestrial, it turning somebody into a zombie
Yeah.
was tangential to the fact that it's a zombie flick. It is not an alien flick in that
Yeah.
case. If it was an alien that happened to do that, which means Legend is not an alien movie.
Whoa. Wait. Oh, because it was laboratory.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So here's where we get to have some fun.
Your fourth one?
Fourth one, comedies about aliens are not alien movies.
So Paul is
Hitchhiker,
out?
Paul is out. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is out. It is a comedy.
Okay.
The aliens
Explain
are
that.
used specifically for comedic
So Men
purposes.
in Black is out.
Men in Black is out. Yes, it is not an alien movie.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, an alien movie can be funny, but it can't be a comedy.
It could
A
have funny
comedy,
lines and shit like that, but the whole premise can't be funny.
yes. Okay. It can't be a comedy first and then about the aliens. And Paul and Men in Black and all those movies are centralized around the idea that they are comedies.
Yep.
There's
Okay.
another reason why Men in Black is going to get ripped out of this, and then we're going to argue a little bit about it. But I was expecting more arguments from you on this one.
No, I
Uh,
thought I thought I'd be bickering about yours, but I actually agree with this. So
it just goes to show I'm just that intelligent that I can make a list that actually makes sense instead of having a list that was completely self-serving. He's looking up right now because he's realizing I'm right.
no. 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 It'll be recorded when I admit you're right, and today is not the day.
You've said I've been right before. You've said you agreed with me on stuff before.
Yeah, but not
Yeah.
not in totality, so
So now you're marginalizing the fact that you said that I was right. Great. Number 5. Any movie with Will Smith or Tom Cruise is a vanity project, not an alien movie.
Oh, I don't know about that. Okay, with Will Smith, yeah. I guess wait, what's that one where he's the superhero from outer space or whatever?
Hancock. And he's not a superhero in that one. They are titans that came from Earth. They did not come from a different planet.
Okay. But okay, so then but Edge of Tomorrow I don't think is a Tom Cruise vanity project. Do
Yes, it
you?
is. Every movie is a Tom Cruise vanity project. Every movie that Tom Cruise is in is a vanity project for Tom Cruise. Mission Impossible, not an alien movie, but completely a vanity project. There should not have been a second or a third movie in that series. It was bad.
Mission
Edge of
Impossible?
Mission Impossible is just, I do not like.
Didn't they aren't they making like a seventh right now?
Yeah, I don't know. Tom's what, 60 some years old, and he's living off of Maverick residues to pay his. What should be an alien movie is all of Scientology because of their belief system at the 66th level where the aliens are their overlords and all that sort of stuff. That would be an alien movie in this premise because it's not a Tom Cruise vanity project. I think every single movie that Tom Cruise is in, Tom Cruise has to be the central character. He's never a secondary character. Therefore, they're vanity projects. He refuses to do a movie where he's secondary to the plot, except for Tropic Thunder, which was a comedy and never had any aliens, so it doesn't count anyways. But this takes out Edge of Tomorrow. This takes out Oblivion. This takes out what other movies does Will Smith been in? Independence Day. All of those movies
wait.
are no longer alien movies.
You don't think Independence Day is? I got to think about that.
There is way too much time that Will Smith spends with a shirt that is on minimally to be able to cover his body. It's a vanity project.
It has Bill Pullman though.
So does Edge of Tomorrow. Oh yeah, he's the drill sergeant. Remember? Spoiler alert for you people who haven't seen this and realize my wife refuses to watch Tom Cruise movies. She hates him. I dislike him significantly. Um, Edge of Tomorrow is only a fun watch because you get to watch Tom Cruise
But
die
you think
over
War of
and
the
over and
Worlds
over and
is
over
a
again.
vanity project? I don't think War of the Worlds is a vanity
Oh, yes, it
project.
was. He was a central character to it.
Well,
All
he's
of a
in
sudden,
it. I mean,
Tom Cruise survives when all of these other people die. No, it's a vanity project.
hmm, but that's about aliens that are sentient.
Vanity project. Sorry. And that's
Mm.
also a moralistic movie. That's about how, if you really think about the subtext of that movie, that's about how
Well,
mixing races leads to,
okay, well, hold on. So your number five is really about like vanity projects. So then couldn't you by that logic say Signs is for Mel Gibson?
uh, so I looked at it as those two individual people. Mel Gibson's been in movies where he's not the main character. I could go. I'd say Signs because Signs the aliens are so minimally in it, and it's such a movie about faith and that sort of stuff. It's not an alien movie. Same as The Village, even though they think that those people
No, that
are those
it's
things are
not.
aliens, they're not, and that makes it not an alien movie because it's all about how people in different societies are looked at differently based off of their belief systems.
I never
So
saw Oblivion. I'm just realizing that.
Morgan Freeman makes that movie. Tom Cruise is a passenger in it. It would have been
Oh,
better if he wasn't even a passenger in it. There's a lot of better people they could have put in that.
huh. Okay. I'm gonna put it on my list of things to watch anyway.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
So again, we've got a lot of things that we could say deny what is an alien movie based off of personal preferences, like the whole Tom Cruise Will Smith stuff. I hate Tom Cruise. You seem to have this hard on for beating up Will Smith.
Look, he just sucks. Okay.
So I'm surprised that you're fighting me on trying to keep Will
Well,
Smith
no,
movies
I'm
out of
just
the alien
I'm
genre.
because I guess some of the Tom Cruise films, like I just saw them as alien films, true alien films. But
But again, which ones are you talking about? Edge of Tomorrow could, in theory, be if it wasn't about how Tom Cruise is morally superior to
yeah,
everybody
and
else.
War of the Worlds, I think those two are more alien than not.
Yeah, but I just have a problem saying anything good about a Tom Cruise movie.
Well, wait. So now I got to think about Will Smith, and I don't want to make the whole episode about this, but I'm just
Oh,
clarifying.
what you're saying is you do want to make the whole episode about this, but you're not going to. Let's talk about this in appropriate terms.
iRobot is what comes to mind.
But iRobot, they built the robots. There's nothing alien about it.
Oh, and yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, I forgot about
It
that.
would be like saying Wild Wild West because of the spider is an alien movie. That spider was a man-made creation. So was everything in iRobot.
Yeah, that's right.
Now,
Yeah.
here's the thing: Men in Black has sentient aliens, but it's a comedy and it has Will Smith, so it's out of my list. Um, Edge of Tomorrow has Tom Cruise in it, so it's out of my list. That doesn't mean it's out of all of your lists, but what
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
really like to know is if you send an email to repressedhumorissues@gmail.com, I'd like to know what your list of 5 criteria is as our audience is.
Yeah.
We've seen an uptick in the communication from our audience, so we just want to expand on that a little bit. We're going to talk about more about this alien thing because we've got to get to Dune because Worm Teeth over here hasn't seen the last 20 minutes. So we
Yeah,
have to wreck it for him.
yeah, don't wreck it. I'm like literally in the last 20 minutes. That's all I had left.
You're just setting it up to be wrecked. But I want to know what your list of 5 criteria as our audience would be for what is or is not an alien movie. Okay. And trying to get it down to your single screenplay that you've written is not going to cut it. I want to know really what you think makes an alien movie, how we could mix yours in with mine and not Worm Teeth's to get an actual good set of alien
Look,
genre movies that you could sit and watch 4 hours on the TV back to back to back to back to back.
I was gonna bring you in as a writer, so Jesus.
Oh, oh, I'm only a lowly writer. I don't get to be an executive director or anything like that.
I'll let you shoot a scene or something like that. Do you know how to operate a camera in those glasses?
Have not seen my daughter and my TikTok that we put out today, which has no
No.
aliens in it, just stuffed animals. So
For once, I stayed away from TikTok today. So far, I've been really successful. It's
congratulations.
well, I bought two things from the TikTok shop, and I knew that my life was going downhill pretty quickly. So
Wow. That, that's like when your wish purchase is such a such a central part of your life. That's the level that you've hit when you've bought something off the TikTok channel.
yeah, well, and this friend doesn't listen to our show yet because whatever. But I bought this is fucking hilarious. He drives around a TRD Pro, the Forerunner, and I bought him a Widowata, which is
Oh, yes.
a miniature. It's an actual like tiny ladder magnet that goes on the TRD Pro, where because his doesn't have a ladder, and we all make fun of him for it. But anyway,
Wow.
that was my
Yes.
TikTok algorithm got me. They're like, oh, we know he has a friend that has this, and he'll gift it to him. It arrives tomorrow. I'm really excited.
I bought paint and I bought tape and I bought an SD card so that we had a new SD card for the video camera that we're using. I actually was productive in the purchases that I made towards my stuff that goes on TikTok. Yours was just idiocy. We might as well
Hmm.
admit it.
Oh yeah, I
Yes.
mean it's kind of like shipping my friend in England the bag of miniature dicks with feet and eyes.
Did they say Ryan on them?
No, it was like 300 of them though.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking sending him 300 Ryans in the shape of dicks.
Oh, I see what you're
Yes.
doing.
You finally figured out where it goes. So let's get back on track here. So we're talking about this before while we were setting this up because we came up with this idea like 3 or 4 days ago for this
Mhm.
theme. Um, and we're talking about some of these movies that were alien movies that kind of like lately haven't been so great. And we're going to start with Dune because I know you're 20 minutes away from the end of it.
Yeah.
And one of the comments that you made was it seemed very rushed to put a lot into that first movie.
Yeah, I don't. I know they have to start somewhere, right? And I appreciate that. I think it is a film that needed to be remade, unlike the multitude of other ones Hollywood is remaking right now. But when I'm sitting back and thinking about it, it launches you in with not enough explanation, and it is actually a little difficult to follow. And you figure it out and you catch up, but it is a little bit rushed. They try to jam a ton of information into such like almost like a 20-minute period. So much happens that you're like, I feel like I missed part of the story or I fell asleep and I didn't. So
And what I found from watching that movie, and I'm going to try not to give any last 20-minute spoilers away here because somebody's still in 2019 apparently. But what I found with that movie was it was like the preface to another movie. Okay, it was the
mm,
starting point for another movie. It self stands only because they were trying to make it so that they could explain the real movie that they wanted to make.
so I wonder if they do that in Doom 2 that comes out March 1st.
Yes, and this is not an advertisement for that. It could be if somebody would give us money for it, but it's not an advertisement for that movie. But I'm hoping that that movie starts to make these things make more sense
Yeah.
because I get what the idea of the first movie was, but to me, it was a very drawn out explanation for what it should have been 10 minutes before Dune 2, or they had to have an awful lot more in that storyline to make it self contained, and I don't find that it's self-contained. And this is a bad trend in movies. We talked about it a little bit, but the Spider-Man movie,
Oh,
the last Into the Multiverse one, was not a self-standing movie because it requires the next movie that's going to come out to be whole. The same as in the Matrix. I believe Matrix Revolutions was the third one. The
yeah,
second one can't self-stand because it requires the third one to make sense.
correct. Yes.
Okay, and that's a problem in these movies is that they should self-stand, but they can't. And
Well,
this is where Endgame versus Infinity Wars. Infinity Wars could self-stand. They could have ended it there. It would have been a horrible way to end it, but they could have ended it there and self-stood it. It was also 2.5 hours, and then they needed another 3.5 hours to make it what it became.
well, I still contend that, these big films that are coming off of book series that, like if you think about Dune, they ran into a very potential risk of remaking this first film and it being an utter flop. And then they have, just an
Tron.
open. Yeah, I mean, it's just that's a great one to reference, or you could even say Battlefield Earth, where that was a planned trilogy and they scrapped it because,
Jupiter Ascending.
yeah, yeah, another one.
Did you get to
Um,
watch that one yet? I know I told you
no,
about that one.
you did tell me about it, and I have a physical list of films to actually watch, and Jupiter Ascending is the first one. I just got to figure out where it's at streaming
Yeah,
wise.
it's somewhere where L. Ron Hubbard exists. It
No
seems
one
like an
knows.
L. Ron Hubbard movie. Really, it does. And realize, I'm not recommending Ryan watch that movie because it's a great movie. It is an alien movie. Aliens are central to the entire concept of that movie. It's just a horrible movie.
But it was done by the guys that did The Matrix, right?
I'm
Or
not sure. It was that the Coen
the
brothers?
no, the
Oh,
Wachowskis.
Wachowskis, right.
Yeah, which I think are now they them.
Oh,
They
I don't know.
I can't remember anyway.
But
Um,
I mean that was just a movie that sunk the franchise, and we talked about it a little bit. Madam Web sunk
oh
Sony doing
yeah,
any more Spider-Man movies.
yeah.
That's pretty much done based off of Marvel's used up what they have right now for superhero movies. They went big budget on Endgame, Infinity Wars, that sort of stuff. It's done. Everything they've done since then has been a horrible shadow of what existed before. Um,
But like so I think yeah, I mean a bigger question I guess. Are Marvel movies alien movies?
So they have aliens in them, and this is where let's talk about this in terms of Star Wars and Star Trek, because I think
Okay.
this is where we have to understand the aliens are not central to the plot in those movies for the most part. Okay, if you
But
even look, they always have more humanoids
yeah.
involved in those movies than they have non-humanoids,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. So they're
a
just pure sci-fi. They're not alien films.
right. Okay, so when you take that approach to it, and it wasn't on either of our lists, but I think it's a good predecessor to this, the aliens should not be secondary to the plot.
So
Okay,
then
and
what do you think about Star Trek? They have Spock as an
he
example.
happens to be a humanoid. He's half human, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Um, but I think the bigger thing is yes, there's aliens in them, and yes, their purpose is essentially to make contact with them, especially in the original series and the next generation. But
Yeah.
they are secondary to everything that goes on because you have Worf, who's not, he's Klingon, he's not human.
And
Uh,
Data, right?
Data's a android. He was made by humans, so that doesn't count. Uh, but you have Deanna Curtis's character. I can't remember
Mm,
the psychic. She's technically not human, but she's very humanoid. Um, Everybody that they bring in from an alien perspective is extremely humanoid with Guinan and with Q. I mean, that the original series was just how many green women can William Shatner pretend to have sex with. That's really as close as they got to an alien saga with that. And then the next generation was ostensibly about very much morals and tales, and then Wesley Crusher. I mean, the Wesley Crusher syndrome ruined a couple seasons of
Okay.
Star Trek.
Well, then I have to ask. I'm gonna. I think this qualifies as an alien film. Uh, what about Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
Well, seeing as I'm not dumb enough to have that on my Netflix queue, I don't know. Let's see. Are they sentient?
Yes.
Are they central to the plot?
Yes.
Is Will Smith or Tom Cruise in either of those movies?
No, I don't think so.
Here's the real test. Is it a comedy?
It's more ish, I guess. Ish. It's not an outright comedy, but ish.
Okay. So it's straddling that line.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the one where I think that the most trouble are going to come in, because that's why Hitchhiker's Guide is packed solid with aliens.
Paul
And they're
is
not all
as well.
humanoid. And Paul, right. But they're comedies. They're not the sci-fi / horror that is part of a good alien flick, like Aliens, like Prometheus.
Well, then what about E.T.? Is E.T.?
And we talked about trying to find a way that made E.T. not an alien movie. I don't know how you classify it as not an alien movie. I mean, my recommendation, my rules state has to be extraterrestrial. It's in the name.
Wow.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Is it an alien movie? It's interesting. Mission to Mars. Okay, has aliens in it. There's the entire face on Mars that Gary Sinise's character goes in. He interacts with, but he never really sees them. Okay, it can't. The aliens are secondary to the movie, even though it really is an alien movie. It's really difficult to be able to define this genre down to a set of rules that are absolute, because you have to consider that an alien movie, because the aliens built the entire premise for why that movie exists.
It's also not lost on me that you snuck in your top 5 as the de facto way to define an alien film.
Well, that's because all of my manuscripts that I have are all about X-Files type non-alien stuff. I have no alien stuff in it, so I have no skin in the game of trying to not make them alien movies.
I'm trying to think. So Superman.
That's an interesting one, because he is an alien. He's sentient. It's not a comedy. He's not Will Smith, and he's never been Tom Cruise.
Thank God.
Okay.
Might have ruined every Superman for me if it was Tom Cruise.
By definition, he's immediately the central character in the movie. So by my definition, that's an alien movie, not a superhero movie.
Which, oh man, talk about debate central right there.
I mean, you could talk about this in terms of Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer is an alien. There are no other errands except Galactus, but you barely see Galactus. But Silver Surfer is central to the plot.
Yes.
So it fails as a superhero movie because it's an alien movie.
But is it a little bit too much of a comedy?
No. Nobody laughed at that movie except for the fact that they made it.
It was terrible. They're remaking it, right? Again.
They're making another Fantastic Four because they've run out of ideas for X-Men. So that's where they have to go.
I don't know how you run out of ideas for X-Men. X-Men is just a vast array of awesome. Like, there's so much meat there.
Yeah. You want to know what the problem is? You have Hugh Jackman, who has decided he's done with Wolverine, and I don't blame him because, I mean, he's
reprising it once more.
Oh,
Deadpool
okay.
3.
So, that's right, but that's a comedy, so we don't have to worry about that. But we're talking about X-Men. I mean, Charles Xavier, Patrick Stewart is at that point where he does not want to do those movies anymore.
No, they're
Okay.
gonna have to restart the whole cast again.
But now they have to bring in somebody new to be Charles Xavier to try to be as good as Patrick Stewart was. And
Well,
that's going to be difficult. And Hugh
well, they
Jackman
did.
was a huge draw to that movie. There's nobody else
Who was
in those movies.
the young Professor X that they did? James McAvoy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did actually pretty well.
I lost interest in those movies at that point. So they became repetitive. The world's about to be destroyed. The X-Men save it at the last second. The world's about to be destroyed. The X-Men save it at the last second. That's
I
that's
think
not the
that's
way
more of
the
a
comic
commentary
books.
about Hollywood's inability to make creative plot lines any longer.
And so there we get into Total Recall. We get into
So
what was
many.
the one? What was the one that I mentioned? Blade Runner 2049.
Oh
Just
yeah,
horrible remake of a movie that they only made because they had no other idea. I mean, why don't they just remake Dude, Where's Your Car? Or Dude, Where's My Car? Whatever that was.
I would watch that. I would watch a remake of that. Or I'd watch a sequel. I don't know. That was one of those films that was so fucking bad. It was great.
Yeah, yes, yes, it was interesting. I think the other thing, when you look at it that way, is that an alien movie because the giant women were aliens in that?
No, not an alien movie. It's a
But the
comedy.
whole way up, because it's a comedy, right? And that's why Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure cannot be
Right.
an alien movie.
Well,
Yes,
okay, then this is going to break my heart if we're going off of this logic, because in Mars Attacks is not an alien movie.
because it's a comedy.
Yeah.
I don't remember. No, I don't remember that one.
Please tell me you've seen it.
When Mars Attacks, I don't remember ever
It's
seeing
just
that.
called Mars Attacks with an exclamation point.
Who was in it?
Like Pierce Brosnan, I believe, was in it. Tom Jones. Like it's not unusual that Tom Jones, not Tommy
Okay,
Lee Jones. I won't
please
ever get
never
it
sing
again.
that
I'm
again.
very sorry. But yeah, you definitely like Jack Nicholson's in there.
So this is like a 1970s, 1980s movie, right?
1996.
Really? I
Yeah.
don't remember it.
Sarah Jessica Parker was in it.
So let's get back to real alien
It
movies.
was directed by Tim Burton. That's right. I was like, I had to look it up real quick. I was like, who the fuck directed that? But yeah, Tim Burton directed it.
Yeah, that's like saying that any of the movies that God, what's his name? Uh El Mariachi,
Oh,
Kill Bill, um,
Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino are actual westerns. They're spaghetti westerns. There's a difference there.
You still need to watch Mars Attacks. That is definitely worth your time. It is cult classic excellence.
Okay, so let's talk about Independence Day.
Yeah. I-
Let's take the Will Smith part of it out.
Yeah, take the Will Smith part of it out because I
Okay,
don't think it's a comedy. It has
but
funny
you have
elements to it.
you have stupidity going on as part of it, like when Randy Quaid is flying up into the ship to blow it up. I mean, that was pretty stupid. I mean, just it would be fine if he flew up and he died, but the stuff that he says on the way
Wait,
up into
did
the
he
ship.
fly it up or was it Bill Pullman that flew it up?
No, it was Randy Quaid that flies it up.
Oh, okay.
Because remember, he has to redeem himself for being an
Oh,
idiot the rest of
right,
his
right, right,
life.
right, right, right. Yeah.
Okay. So we could say that's an alien movie in spite of the fact that Will Smith is in it, will negate my rule number 5 on that.
Okay.
Is Edge of Oblivion
Edge of
a
Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow? Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, you just conflated two movies together.
Yeah, and both of them could be looked at in this terms because if you seen it, you said you haven't seen Oblivion,
I haven't
so I
seen
won't
it.
ruin it for you. It actually is an incredibly good storyline ruined by Tom Cruise. But let's just stick with Edge of Tomorrow. Okay,
All right.
if Tom Cruise isn't in it, okay, can we say that those robotic-looking things that they say are aliens, okay, that actually
Yeah.
look like they are more of some sort of controlled robot army than they are actual aliens, do we think those are aliens?
Yes, I think they are.
So, what we end up with is when robots are made from a species that is extraterrestrial, then it's an
It,
alien movie. If they're made by humans and come back from the
it
future to try to kill
negates
John
it.
Connors, they're not.
And then by your earlier statement, I guess Starship Troopers would actually be out as an alien movie because they're bugs. They're not sentient.
Ah, but are they sentient? Because remember the big bug, the brain? That had to be sentient to control and know where to attack, didn't it? The rest of the
Mm.
bugs weren't sentient because they were completely controlled by the brain.
Yeah,
I would
they're
agree
just
with that.
drones, more or less.
Yeah. And they wouldn't be the alien part of it, but the big slug like thing is. And when they pull that thing apart at the end, when they're experimenting on it, that was a rough watch.
Okay, then uh, oh, I don't know if people like this film or not. I do, but Chronicles of Riddick.
Yes, we talked about this when we were setting this up. This is so interesting,
Yeah,
whether or not that counts. Now,
yeah.
well,
It's not a
almost,
comedy. Doesn't have
uh,
Will Smith, but it does
yeah,
have my next least favorite actor, Vin Diesel.
yeah. Fast and Furious completely wrecked anything that he's ever going to do ever again from me wanting to watch. But I actually liked. You realize that's a three-piece set.
Yeah, right.
Pitch Black.
Pitch Black.
That
Yeah.
was a really good, intense thriller.
That I
It,
think he actually did a great job in that movie.
the second one, Chronicles of Riddick, was okay. The whole necromancer thing was a little bit overdone, but there were reasons for it okay. The third one was a complete waste.
That was called
But
Riddick, right?
Riddick, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, you cannot say that the aliens do not play a central role in every single one of those movies at some point. Because the necromancers, even though they're humanoid, are not human. And they have, I forget what the goddess, what she was not a Titan, she was
No.
something else.
Yeah.
Jane, not, oh, Dench, what's her last name? Madam
Judy Dench.
Judy Dench, yeah.
Yeah.
Her character is obviously some form of alien god.
Yeah.
I think regardless of the fact that it's centered around Vin Diesel, who is a horrible actor and who I am perfectly willing to say should never make another movie. It's still an alien movie because there's aliens throughout in every single one of them.
Yeah. It was one that because I do like I haven't seen the third one to be fair, but I've seen the first two, and I do like both of those.
You you haven't missed much not seeing the third one. I was with what they did with Chronicles of Riddick. Chronicles of Riddick was a really good movie, wrecked by too much of the necromancer belief systems and the guy that could just shift through time. It was weird. The third one was just trash. The third one was an excuse for Riddick to go and kill people. So
Well, oh, now I have a. Sorry, now I'm just as we're talking, I'm thinking of other like Predator. We agree is an alien movie.
Predator versus Alien is the culmination of the genre of alien movies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's
But
nothing we can do there.
what about Avatar?
Ooh, didn't think of that one. That's a good one because technically the humans were the aliens in that movie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 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 because they're coming to their Earth.
Yes, the yeah. So in theory, it's an alien movie because we were the aliens. That's the test that we hadn't thought about, that we hadn't worked through on this. The justification for it being an alien is because of the humans in it.
And I mean, they're blue-rays humanoids, but it's
But they were not in any way influenced by human evolution whatsoever. They're
No,
completely
but
extraterrestrial.
I think that's
And
an Alien movie.
the second one was just utter junk. It
Never
was an
saw it. Never saw
oh
it. I didn't
I
even like the first one that much, to be honest.
I was on a plane for 9 hours and found other stuff to watch rather than finishing that. I got
That's a lot.
about that was the first movie that I was going to watch when I got on the plane, and I got about an hour into it and said I can't do this anymore.
Well, doesn't isn't James Cameron putting out a third?
I hope not. I really hope not. He wrecked it. The first one, yeah, there was some kumbaya stuff to it, and there was morals, but it was a really well done movie for the genre. Same way that there's a Keanu Reeves movie that they did that was all shot in Rotovision. It's not an alien movie, but it was really good for what they were trying to do with moving the technology forward. Um, the second one was just an excuse to grab money. It was the prequels to Star Wars all over again. So now
Huh.
here's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, District 9.
I love District 9. That's a fantastic film.
Definitely an alien movie,
Absolutely an
but
alien movie.
is the fact that it's an anti-apartheid movie more prevalent than it being an alien movie?
Yeah, I mean the themology is very heavy in there, right? Like it's pervasive, but I think that it's still an alien movie with a message.
So is it an alien movie with a message, or is it an anti-apartheid movie with aliens?
No, because the aliens are a central focus,
Yeah. Yep.
right?
I would
Yeah.
have to agree. It works there. Now, here's one, and I think this should be the last one. We should wrap this up at this point. You brought it
Okay.
up. Wally is not an alien movie,
No, but Transformers is.
but Transformers is. And on that, now that we've wrecked your Tuesday, I think we should let some people off the hook now here.
Yeah, yeah, but man, I don't know. I love talking about films. I mean, that was my degree from college is in video and film production. So it's like I had to do all these film theory courses and things like that and look for symbolism in film. So I actually had to kind of stop watching movies for a bit to intentionally forget all the things I learned in film school so I could actually start enjoying films again.
Yeah, my problem is I still have the inability to get over the fact that somebody has to set up a school for villains where they can learn to shoot. Because every stormtrooper needs to learn how to shoot. Every single last one of them. They could not hit the broadside of a star destroyer.
That reminds
It's
me.
horrible.
I, did you send me the thing on TikTok of the guys like the two stormtroopers shooting at the
Yes.
Jedi? That was
Yes.
hilarious.
Yes. Just shooting over and over and over and over again
Uh,
and hitting them with every single shot.
like hitting
Yes.
the gun. Is this thing working?
Yeah. But I mean, the whole Bourne franchise is built off of the fact that people can't shoot. Okay. Even the one with Jeremy Renner is based off of that.
I
How many other movies do you see people emptying an entire clip and then they pull around with a little 9mm and shoot them from 700 yards directly between the eyes after avoiding the 100 bullets the other guy just put downfield?
it
I
makes you
mean,
feel like you could like withstand bullets. It's like it puts a false premise in your brain.
yes.
Um, hmm.
So realize, as much as we're talking alien movies right now, I tear apart movies based off of things like their inability to be able to shoot, their inability to stop pontificating, giving somebody enough time to survive. And there's movies that have made jokes out of that genre, that the entire movie is about stuff like that.
Well,
Austin Powers is that.
what
But
I kind of like a little bit of the evolution of where movies are starting to head, like where they stop the stupid shit like that and
yeah,
they make it a lot more realistic. So I'm seeing this every now and again. You'll find a horror film that comes out where the people are actually like, fuck this, I'm actually getting out of here. And making the story a little bit more realistic, a little bit more believable, which ends up making, for me at least, the movie a little scarier, at least
so
messing with your head.
unlike Cloverfield.
Oh yeah, no,
where they keep on running towards the monster.
yeah, every single time. Like,
so
come on, you idiots!
So, everybody, we want to hear your top 5 reasons why something should or should not be an alien movie. Send that to repressedhumorissues@gmail.com.
But I would also like to hear people's favorite alien movies. Just let us know. I'd love to hear like what stands the test of time for you. What's changing your vision on everything when it comes to alien films? What's really leading you down the sci-fi path in the future?
And the third thing is, I'd like to know the movies that either we think are alien movies that aren't, or the ones that we don't think that they are that are. And I'll give you one of those. Contact. Incredible movie, but is it an alien movie?
Yes.
Let's let our audience decide. Send us your thoughts at repressedhumorissues@gmail.com, or you can contact us on the website, repressedhumorissues.com.
Or if you want to hit us up on Instagram at repressed humor issues or RHI_podcast on Twitter.
And we have a TikTok channel, but we haven't done much with it because both of us have day jobs.
It's a lot of work. But it's a lot of work for you. You're doing great. You're doing awesome work. Thank you so much for keeping the show afloat.
He's buttering me up for the fact that he does nothing.
I generate AI images once a week.
Yes, the most disturbing part of all of Repressed Humor Issues, those images that are on every single episode, that's all Ryan.
I'll say this. There's so many of every episode that I have still in my possession. We should maybe make a library of the ones that didn't make it at one point, because there's some really jacked up shit that AI comes up with.
You mean Tinky Winky versus C-3PO?
Oh my god. Oh man.
Some of the Ted Nugent stuff it came up with.
The Ted Nugent stuff made no sense.
Yes. And toe skin boogers.
That was a gross one. I hated doing that. All the images it rendered were just bad. Everything made me want to vomit. Yes. It was just like...
So if you people out there, our audience, think this is easy, realize there's a lot of prep work that we do. We don't just come randomly here. We've tried a couple of just pure random episodes. We're coming with themes. There's a lot of work that goes into this. We want to hear your thoughts as well. So we've given you all the places that you can connect to us with. I'm not going to repeat that, but we'd really like to hear more from people. We're seeing an uptick. We're seeing the number of people that are listening growing. We're hearing from our friends that listen. We'd like to hear from some people what you'd like us to talk about, what you think is interesting. I want to talk about some geeky shit in the next couple of episodes. If it's slamming flat earthers or those sorts of people, again, people that believe in conspiracy theories, we want to hear your ideas because it lets us take our creative juices and just do stupid things with it.
And I will say, and I'm not going to tell you, Dan, but we're going to have a different top 5 next week that I already have planned.
Wow. So everybody don't bother listening to next week's show because it's going to suck. Ryan, get us out of this show.
Well, thank you everyone again for tuning in to Repressed Humor Issues. Really appreciate everyone that keeps listening and all the feedback like Dan mentioned. So until next week, I'm Ryan.
I'm Dan.
And we will see you next time.
Thank God that bullshit with Stay Classy is now done.
I got my brother asked me, he was like, why the fuck do you keep like ending with random cities? Do you guys have like affinity towards it? I was like, I don't, it's just whatever comes in my brain at that moment because my brain is barely functioning as it is. So I'm lucky when an original thought pops on there that's not an Excel doc.
It was a gimmick to end the show that just did not work is really what it is.
Yeah.
You can admit that.
yeah, but it's part of the iterative process. We
Yep.
live, we learn, we laugh, we love, we cry. We haven't cried yet, but
I'll admit it. You cry all the time.